Look who's here, everybody.
It's Flex from Kentucky.
Let me ask you a question.
Flex, I keep telling you, stop doing that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of PHNX Suns Podcast. I'm Lindsay. That's Gerald. That's Espo. We got a special guest in studio with us today, Shane Young.
Oh, I thought we were going to say Kentucky Fried Flex.
Kentucky Fried Flex is stuff.
I like that.
Flex from Kentucky. Just kidding. It's Shane Young. Of course, as you know, NBA writer and analyst for Forbes, and a little bit of sprinkles specifically on the Suns as of last season and this season as well, right?
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So we wanted to have you in to talk about the offseason, to talk about Suns basketball, and of course, to play some games. But the games will come later in the show, so don't you worry.
Yeah.
First and foremost, how's your summer going? Are you handling it okay?
It's going pretty well. I'm dehydrated sometimes, so trying to fix that. But it's different from where I'm from. So because right now it's only like 80 back home. So
that sounds
yeah, but what's the humidity? Let's play the
humidity here this summer though has been awful.
Espo, when we were in Vegas, I saw a billboard. It said, "But it's a dry heat," making fun of that, and it's heat. It's bad. It's terrible.
Yeah, but there's difference between a swamp and an oven, right? Like,
True.
that's the thing here. So
True.
By the way, do you and Gerald shop at the same place for your shirts? Like, it's got a very Gerald vibe.
We do have impeccable taste.
Impeccable vibes.
Music tastes through the roof. Probably a lot better than you guys.
Oh, love it. Coming
Love
out
to
of the
hear
gates
it.
hot.
My music doesn't usually have banjos in it. Kentucky, all right?
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the
And
program.
now that you have officially been welcomed to the family, let's dive into a little Suns basketball. Obviously, a lot of moves this offseason, just as a whole, generally. How are you feeling about the way that the team has kind of shaped up?
Yeah, I think I was telling Gerald over at Summer League, I think this is a lot better situation for them than last year. The pieces seem to fit more coherently, and it's going to be a better flow on the court for sure. And we don't know what Mike Budenholzer's system is going to look like. That's another dynamic. It's like all these new guys coming into the roster, into the rotation, but it's not Frank Vogel's team. It's Budenholzer's team. So we can't just go off of what last year needed. Maybe Bud has a different idea. So, but it was pretty interesting that one of the first things he said at the press conference when he was introduced was, we might need a point guard. So that was something that they addressed twice.
I'm glad you brought that up, Shane, because you and I have waged our fair share of battles on this front on Twitter. We've both been in the camp that the Suns didn't need a point guard, but they added a backup point guard in Monte Morris, and then Tyus Jones was still there. They go out and get him for the vet minimum. So now they have a starting point guard. Now they have a backup point guard as well. What are your thoughts on Tyus Jones and how he kind of fits into the equation? Because as much as they didn't need a point guard, now they have one, and they promised him a starting job. So what do you think of all of that?
I thought the promising a starting job was tough to read at first because it's like, again, we don't know what Bud wants, but I guess that was a free agency pitch that they needed. They felt like they needed to get him. So I don't really love the idea of putting a point guard in there and kind of reducing their size or shooting, because it's either Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal that can't start. So
now it's both.
Yeah, now it's both. So it's like I don't really know what that's going to look like from that standpoint. But personally, I would have just wanted a backup point guard, something like a Tyus Jones if he was willing to do that. But we don't know what those conversations look like. So on the court, though, I do kind of agree that Durant and Booker needed a few more possessions of catch and shoots. Like, we're not talking about 10 to 15 more, just a handful of them, especially down the stretch of games. So maybe the fourth quarter woes are fixed because of this. And maybe it's not where Tyus Jones is playing all the time with the starters, but just starting and maybe closing games.
For me, I don't think they needed one, but when this kind of falls into your lap, it makes sense to take advantage of it, right? And I think that's what I found interesting was their willingness to adjust because this became an opportunity. When we're talking with Josh Bartelstein, he said they didn't even talk to him, he and James Jones, until Summer League. So I think they were very much in the mindset that you guys were. We got a backup point guard. We're good to go. But then when probably the best available on the market goes, or one of the best available on the market goes, I'll take a minimum.
Yeah.
You can't say no to that, right?
Yeah, that's why I thought it was just a perfect marriage. The fact that Tyus Jones would be willing to come here for the minimum. That's a big if in free agency, and that's something they checked off right away. Or it took a little bit. It took a little convincing, it sounds like, but they're instantly a better team with him. He makes every team now. The Wizards were
Yeah.
the Wizards were a
They were
unique
just bad.
situation.
That's not his fault.
Yes, but he makes every lineup better.
Yes.
The ball security. And something I was interested when I saw it right away when he signed. It's not that he gets to the rim a lot, but he gets into the paint. He breaks the paint at least. And he's not going to be the Russell Westbrook type where he's just downhill all the time. He only averages about 7 drives per game. That's not a lot. Like Book doubles that or more. So, you're still going to need your stars to do the heavy lifting. You're not off the hook by any means just because you brought in a point guard. But he can, for 5 to 10 more possessions a game, break down the defense and get things moving around. And that's when Booker, Beal, Durant are open and shooting better. I mean, they were really efficient last year. All 3 of them were really efficient.
Yeah.
If you can increase that, I mean, you're cooking with gas.
Well, you touched on something that I've been bringing up with the turnover complaint about we need a point guard so we can cut down the turnovers, is that like Tyus Jones is not the guy that's going to pound the air out of the ball and, like you said, drive a ton, set everybody up all the time. You're still going to need the big 3 to operate in pick and rolls, in actions, which is where a lot of their turnovers came from last year. But adding 2 of the league gods and assist to turnover ratio has to help a little bit on that front, right?
Yeah, and I do feel bad. I think this is a sentiment shared around Suns Twitter, but I feel bad about Monty Morris not having the role that maybe he thought. And really that happened kind of quickly. Like he signed and we talked to him at the Zoom presser, and it was like, yeah, he's going to have a lot of minutes. And that's what it sounded like. But now you don't really know how that will translate because Beal is going to lead bench units sometimes. Booker will as well. He loves doing that. He's always thrived in that role. So how much do they really need that second one?
It's kind of the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
But we do feel bad for him.
And Colin Gillespie too, because he brought that up multiple times.
But to be fair, when we saw the injuries with this team, I think there's going to be opportunity just because that tends to happen in the NBA. Maybe it won't be as much as last season, but I think there'll be some chances there for all these guys at different times throughout the year.
Yeah.
And, Budenholzer in Milwaukee, he didn't really have to go small all that time, all that much, because Brook Lopez was just a defensive anchor, and then Giannis could play center, and he's kind of like a center anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how guard heavy his lineups are. But I love the fact that Grayson Allen has that synergy with Bud, and he was over the moon when Bud came. So I mean, that's going to be a good dynamic there because he has experience with Bud.
Not to steal our friend Flex's question, but let me ask you a question. Where does Bradley Beal fit in with all this?
Yeah.
Because it felt like at times they needed him off the ball, and then at times they wanted him to be the point guard.
Yeah.
Other times he was like the lockdown defender guarding Zion and different wings. Where is he playing in all this? How does he fit into all this? How is he going to get his touches with Tyus handling the rock and Book and KD needing to do what they can do?
Unfortunately for Brad, I think it's going to be a similar situation to last year where we don't know early on. He kind of figures out the role in December, January. And then from there, it's hopefully you can stay healthy for good pockets at a time to build those reps. And I just don't think they had that. I think he figured out a perfect role for himself around late February, early March, right? Is that when it was that he was just downhill all the time. And he turned into their point guard. Like Frank was even saying, like, he's our point guard. So I just think it's going to take a little bit of time. And maybe we have the answers right away. But I think I like the idea of him starting he's going to start. Like, I think everyone should just stop with that
Lean
narrative.
into it because it's not.
He makes $50+ million. The no trade clause is there. Like, there's just too many dynamics. And I think Bud loves shot creation. Bud loves someone that can get downhill. And Brad, even at 31, I believe he's 31, he still has the juice. He still has the juice to get downhill. I think 30% of his shot attempts came at the rim. And that's consistently over the last few years. Like, that hasn't dipped. So until we see that he's no longer able to have that burst or draw extra defenders, I like him as a second side creator when Booker and Durant are leading the action on most possessions. And then on closeouts, he's one of the best players in the league at attacking those, especially because you have the 2 27-point per game scorers or higher next to you. I mean, he's in a really good position. I hope he leans into that and has an even better year than last year.
Let's dive in a little bit deeper to your expectations to the rotations, right? Like, obviously, I think Brad's going to start, but then you also mentioned like Book or Brad potentially leading that second unit at times. What are you kind of envisioning as a whole here?
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a room for error, right? They're going to experiment in the first couple months, but initially, what are you thinking?
I was looking at this earlier. They have like, you struggle to say this because then it makes it sound like they're an elite championship team, but they have too many guys.
They're pretty deep.
They have too many guys that need minutes. And I think because, as Gerald, I'm sure all of you know, a lot of my experience over the last couple of years was around the Clippers. Clippers had a lot of guys that needed minutes, but they weren't all good.
Right.
When it comes to it, like actually producing. But I just feel like that you can't waste away the talent that you have. So lean star heavy, but also this gives you an opportunity to sit Durant, for stretches. Give him a little bit more rest than he got. Because, I mean, he was overplayed last year in a lot of games. So maybe, Royce O'Neal still has a couple more years left in the tank of being a high-level producer. If he keeps shooting, if Royce keeps shooting the way he did last year for the Suns, then, who knows what this rotation will look like, or who knows what if he eventually goes into the starting lineup. And I think that's what I would say to Suns fans is that the rotation that you see in October, November, December, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to stick. So they have a lot of guys that can be shuffled around. I love the idea of Grayson Allen playing as many minutes with the starters as possible, even if he doesn't start. So, who cares who really starts? It's who's going to finish, and Grayson Allen being the league's best three-point shooter by percentage, he's going to get a lot of the chunk there. So I'm curious how you guys feel about Mason Plumlee in this mix, because now it's like they have a better backup big than they had last year, but he didn't have a good year last year.
Right.
So it's like, can he rebound from what he did into what we know he can be?
I think so, with health, right? I mean, it's never easy for a guy to get a rhythm when you have injuries like he did, and I think we experienced that with Brad Beal even last year. But I think what they did was they've given Mike Budenholzer so many options, right? So many different tools that he can use in different situations where they didn't have that last year. Like, you were just limited to, I guess we got to go to Drew Eubanks. I guess we've got to go to this guy and that guy. Now he can pick and choose what makes the most sense strategically, and I think Mason will be good in certain matchups and may not see the floor in other matchups depending on what that looks like. But now you've got a guy that I think you can trust a little bit more there.
Yeah, the hope there is that it was injury last year, because he did try to play through that injury and came back a little too early, especially with Daniel Tice kind of there waiting to steal his minutes. And that's what we heard from every Clippers person at Summer League too. So you hope that combined with the reunion with Monte Morris, they had pretty good chemistry in Denver, will be able to bring out some of the lobs that we saw early in his career. He's not as bouncy now, but he's a more reliable, hopefully, option than what we saw last year with Drew Eubanks.
It's a good point, and something that the Suns have now that they didn't last year, for sure, is 48 minutes. Now, let's just assume that Mason Plumlee is the full-time backup. 48 minutes consecutively of good playmaking from your bigs. Like, good IQ, making the right passes. And Mason's really good in those delay sets where the center is trailing the play and everyone can kind of go get set up and run their stuff. And then Mason's kind of the one that's in control, operating and making the right reads out of that. So he's really good. He was really good in that with Denver, and he learned from the best in Jokic. So.
Hey Dot in the chat said Oso will take his spot in some matchups that he cannot play. What are you thinking about the rookies and their potential to crack these rotations as well?
I love Oso. He seems ready. He seems ready immediately. It's gonna take a learning curve for sure. There's gonna be matchups where he doesn't look good, and then Bud pulls him, and then the fan base freaks out. It's like, you didn't give him a chance. But it's like kind of pick your poison. Are you trying to win games and the curling Western Conference, or are you trying to help develop your rookies? So I think that's a tough that's a tough balance to strike, and I don't envy Bud in that department. And I don't think Frank really had to deal with that last year. It was more of a veteran group. They didn't really have rookies that you could rely.
They haven't had one in a while.
Exactly. So that's another dynamic. But I don't disagree with that. Like also will have minutes and spot minutes, but I'm kind of less optimistic. I'm more pessimistic about Ryan Dunn just because and Gerald knows this. Like I lean offense. I just always lean offense, and we've seen it with Jo. If you don't have the shot, then you can't be respected or trusted. It's hard to play 4-on-5. It just is.
Yeah. No, it is. And his real path is going to be, can he do enough off the ball, even if the shooting is not there and takes time like we're expecting it to. Jo would try to get involved as like a screener and roller or as a cutter. Obviously, he's a great offensive rebounder. Dunn is going to have to be a phenomenal off-ball cutter because there is a difference between 6'4" Josh Okogie and 6'8" Ryan Dunn cutting through the lane. There's different types of gravity, and the hope is that Dunn can bring that with him. But I do agree with you. I think his path to minutes might be more difficult, even though there is a need on this Suns roster for plus-size defensive-minded wings. And
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I just feel like the added depth, if you want to call it that, of this team lends itself to Book and KD getting some minutes or games off on certain stretches. Like, I don't want to overdo it with them. That just leads to like soft tissue injuries and hamstring pulls and calf strength. Like I want them to play it safe at the level that you can, because the West it's a monster. I mean, it's 12 teams that think they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it depends how efficient your offense is, right? Where I don't know if you give them full nights off, but I think you limit those minutes where those ballooned in a lot of cases last year. You're pushing 38, 40 minutes a lot of times because it was your only option offensively to stay in these games. I think what hopefully you see is a more efficient offense, in part because of who they added, but also because of Bud's system. And then you can throttle back on some of those minutes where you keep them in the low 30s and you limit the wear and tear in that sense. Because I don't think there's very few matchups you look on this calendar in the East or West that you go, well, that's a night we can give them off. Yeah. I mean, I think there's one stretch in January you might be able to sneak a game in and you'd be all right. But everything else, you're like, this is a gauntlet this year.
Yeah, it is. Last thing we had for you on the Suns front, you mentioned that we don't know what Bud's playing style, what his system is going to look like. We can take some guesses based on things we've seen from him in his career. Yeah. What do the Suns need to stylistically change from last season to be a more dangerous team this season?
You already know the first thing that popped in my head. Please shoot 30 plus. Please shoot 35 to 43s. It's not going to happen. Like, we can just get it out of our mind because we have 17 years of evidence of KD now. Is it 17? Yeah. That suggests he doesn't want to take 10 plus a game, and that's just not going to be his style. I think Book is willing, and I think we've seen during the Olympics, like his 3-point usage, it should be 45% of his shots. Like that seems aggressive to a lot of people. I think because right now it's maybe Gerald, like 32 to 35% of his shots. It's not a lot, but it should be north of 40. And Durant, because he's not getting to the rim, I struggle to say he can't get to the rim anymore, because he still can with a good screener. Yeah. But the fact that he lives in the mid range, and I think Brad and Book it's going to be the onus on them to take more threes. So from that standpoint, that's the number one point of order. And I think we have enough evidence to also suggest that Bud's not going to let them – he's not going to let them take 25 threes. Like, they will be reprimanded if they don't get north of 35. So, because Milwaukee, even though you had Giannis is not a shooter at all. Right. But it was his force and his threat at the rim that opened up everything else. So it's get that downhill force, They think they did with Tyus Jones and more Brad, more Book, and being healthy, because when they're gone, who does it, right? That's the problem. So they think they got more downhill force to collapse the defense and shoot more threes. So that's the number one stylistic thing. And every team's going to tell you at media day, we want to play faster. We want to play faster. That's going to be the common theme. I don't think this team can run and gun, but they can be faster than Frank's offense was last year. But in the half court,
there was an offense.
Was it Frank's?
Get into your stuff with quicker than 17 on the shot clock, or 16 on the shot clock. They often just wasted too much time walking it up.
You didn't like 17 seconds or less?
No.
All right, we do have a couple of super chats here. Brian sent us one. Thank you, Brian. He said, Lindsay really brought in Flex from Chicago. That's a callback to a show earlier. I said Chicago really weird. Earlier in the week, T-Bounty also sent us one, and they said, notice his shirt. The Midnight is incredible music.
Oh my gosh, this guy's my favorite person in the world right here. Thank you. No one knows this band. I highly encourage. It's synthwave, 80s synth. You all need to check it out. Everyone will love it.
Okay.
They're from LA. They're 10 years old this year.
The
Listen
Midnight.
to them. And they were here.
They're 10-year-olds and they play music?
No. That's
I was all in. Synth 80s music for 10-year-olds.
I should have said that. I shouldn't say that. They originated in 2014, I should have said. But they are here September 16th. And I'll be there.
There you go. Shane,
Nice.
if you're not aware, I'm the asshole on this show. So.
After a couple of years of watching the show, I think I've realized it.
Hooey and twaddle always can be expected from Aspo. All right, on the other side, we will talk about the 5 best Suns ever. But first, I do want to remind you that our PHNX Mercury takeover is happening August 26th when they take on the New York Liberty. Of course, we will have a pregame party with food and beverage, and then we'll head down to the arena and watch the game together. If you want to come watch this game with us, you can get your tickets today at gophnx.com. Just click on the events tab. All the information will be there. And of course, like always, if you are a diehard, one of the perks of being a diehard is that you get a discount to all of our ticketed events, including this Mercury takeover and all the takeovers we're going to have during Suns basketball season. So make sure you check that out as well while you are over at gophnx.com. And to get ready for NBA season, make sure you've got your Bet365 app downloaded and ready to go. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. And right now, they're hooking you up with a choose your own adventure type of promotion when you sign up. So you just download Bet365, you sign up using the code PHNX365, deposit $10, and then choose between either a bet and get promotion where you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place a bet up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive a matched refund in bonus bets. And plus, this will get you excited for the NBA season just around the corner. The NBA early payout that only our friends at Bet365 offer. You get your straight bets or your parlay selections marked as winners when your team goes up by 20 points. So download the Bet365 app today. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Disclaimer, you must be 21 or older and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
So can I indulge myself? I have a bit
You can
of
do
a
whatever
story.
you want,
sure.
Espo.
I'll do me. Don't
Okay.
you worry. You can do you with our friends at Gila River Casinos. That's where I'm going here. I had to record an ad for our partner, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and I'm doing it. And I read through all their locations: Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Santan Mountain, and I say Viquiva, right? Mm-hmm. Max, our ad sales guy, runs into me and he's like, "It's Viquiva," and I'm like,
Is
It's not. It's not. But he was so adamant. I said, fine, you're the sales guy. I will do the ad read for you. We sent it to him and they said, well, it's Viquiva. And I said, Max, you suck. All right.
I'm so glad that you made sure this was a thing, because if it was Viquiva, I would have lost my mind. My whole life, it's been Viquiva.
Yeah. I mean, I was right, he was wrong. You know what else Max sucks at?
What?
Fantasy football. And next Thursday, August 29th, we're going to be out at Wild Horse Pass doing our fantasy football draft live out there. All 12 of our teams here at PHNX, including my team, hold that line. Or hold this line. I had the name wrong.
Whatever your
my
name
I'll
is.
know by next
Figure
Thursday.
it out.
We're going to be doing our whole draft. The doors open at 6. We'll start the draft at 6:30. If you can't make it in person, we're going to live stream it too. All the crap talking, everything that you want from a fantasy draft will be there. And don't you worry, I will be sending all these other schmucks to Waffle House, all right? I will not be doing that. I will be winning this league this year. So come out and watch the start of a dynasty next Thursday, August 29th at 6 p.m. at Wild Horse Pass. You'll love it. They have amazing food. They have an amazing gaming floor. You will not find a casino better than our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
You're fired up. Exciting.
So
Man,
exciting.
Max just made me angry. Like,
It's
I
just,
think that's
listen,
what it
there's a
was.
thing about Max is when you can prove him wrong, it's just really enjoyable. I don't know what it is.
well,
It just
he
is.
asked me for this favor and then he leads me astray. It's
Yeah.
just not cool.
Yeah.
That's rude.
Y'all have
Terrible.
Waffle House out here?
We do.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to go to Waffle. Saul has to go to Waffle
He
House
does.
soon.
He still
I heard
owns.
he's
Pay off
doing it
his bet.
Saturday.
Saturday.
And then
Okay.
next year around this time, somebody else will have to go to the Waffle House to pay off their bets.
Mhm.
Okay, here's the deal. Let's talk about the 5 best Suns ever. Phoenix Suns sent out a Twitter. A Twitter. They sent out a
sent
Twitter
out a
today.
Twitter.
I was going to say a Twitter prompt,
Yes.
suppose. Yes, there you go.
Mhm.
To build your Suns' all-time starting 5.
Mm.
And Shane, you got in on this on Twitter. Your mentions got a little crazy there for a minute.
Not as crazy as mine.
We should just definitely do all of this.
Can we clarify what this means though? Because
That's
there's a
my
difference
problem
between
here.
best Suns or greatest Suns or your all-time 5 Suns. What we're doing is we are trying to take the best Suns players based on their Suns tenure and make the best starting lineup possible,
Yes.
right?
That's what
That's
I
what we're
took
doing.
it as,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think the rest of the internet took that as what the assignment was.
Well,
Right. You're
it's-
trying to build the best 5-man group based on their Suns careers.
Yes.
Okay.
It is hard to kind of separate with some guys. Like we know that their son's career was different than their entire career, but sometimes it's hard to separate.
It
that.
can be.
I'm just saying.
But we got to make sure the chat is on the same page as what
Yeah.
we're doing here.
That's what we're doing.
okay.
Okay. Shane, you want to start us off? We've got yours here on this
Okay.
lovely graphic for you that we
Light
created
that fuse.
just to make it nice
Yes.
and pretty.
I love this lineup so much. I do. It's Chris Paul,
Mhm.
who I don't. All right, how do we want to do this? We want to talk about each player. Just want to name it. What we
You
do?
can name
You
it
can-
first and then
Okay.
we'll go.
Yeah.
The reason I'm doing this is because I don't like positions
Mhm.
at all in
Right.
basketball. I think they're obsolete. As long as you just can get the job done and
Mhm.
you're, like I said, I lean into offense here. But
Okay.
I also want switchability with Sean Marion.
Yeah.
I want him as my 3,
Mhm.
and I feel like you have to put the Truckster in there because just legendary, right? Just absolute legendary.
Mhm.
Made the finals, almost won it. It's
Need some rebounding too.
for sure. And that's the thing. If I'm going small with KD at the 5, which I'm sorry, Kevin,
Mhm.
you gotta do it. Just
You're
suck
just
it up.
gonna have to
Like
do it.
suck it up. You gotta do it.
But he's only 6'8", is what he told us, right?
By the way,
Lies.
I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I saw this man sitting next to Serge Ibaka, and he's like 2 inches taller. It's crazy. So I love that. I want to go switchability. I want to go speed as much as possible, and a good 2-way lineup.
Okay, so you got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Sean Marion, Charles Barkley, and Kevin Durant
Mhm.
as a
Yes.
small ball lineup. I mean, that's a dope lineup to close with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Espo, you go next.
Yeah,
Because yours also, you got some hate.
I took some crap on the internet for this.
Yeah.
I want Jason Kidd, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Charles Barkley, and Alvin Adams. All
'Kay.
right. Let me defend this. With the defensive excuse for
Uh-huh.
why I want Jason Kidd. Look,
Uh-huh.
if I'm going this lineup, I need some defense,
Mhm.
right? And I need it in my backcourt. That's not a knock on Devin Booker. Devin's gotten much better,
Mhm.
but I need somebody that can play some really good defense. You get that with Jason Kidd.
Mhm.
He's a great passer, an elite passer. He in his son's tenure, maybe his shot from long distance wasn't as good, but I just feel like I get enough of what I get with some of the other point guards you could go with the defensive aspect. Devin Booker's a no-brainer, right? Kevin Durant, this was tough. I went back and forth between Sean Marion and Kevin Durant, right? But in the end, I lean towards where you're going, and offensive minded. I went, you got to go with Kevin Durant. He's almost an automatic bucket. Chuck is a no-brainer for me, and I actually think, in this day and age, if he stretched his game, I mean, he shot some 3-pointers, but
not very well.
No,
but he did.
but even in an era where that wasn't a lot of what guys would do, he was willing to, and I think you could
coach him up.
I think you could, because you look at it, and not a lot of guys shot a great percentage back then, but I think it's a volume thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then Alvin Adams is one that most people look at me cross-eyed and go, I don't understand what you're doing. But Alvin Adams' game was built for the modern NBA. Elite passer, great rebounder, had a shot. Kareem said he was the best center he played against. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that. I think that Alvin Adams would just bring a very unique skill set that is more of a modern day big than say Amari. I love what Amari did, but Amari wasn't gonna shoot a lot, wasn't gonna be the best passer. He was athletic based,
some middies.
right? Yeah, some middies, but he was very athletic based. I was just trying to think, okay, if I'm playing in the modern game, which I live in the modern day, so I'm gonna build my roster that way. That's why I went there.
I feel you. The Alvin Adams one, I looked at it the same way. I think it's tough going with a 6'9" center who statistically his best year was his rookie
Changes
season.
one with a 6'9" center. He grew an inch. Since
I'm not touching that
joke.
part of the equation.
Well, I want to say something about Espo's point real quick. I think it's an interesting topic. Like, are we playing modern or back then? And I like the idea of playing modern, but with my lineup, I think they would look at KD like he's an alien. If he's at center. I mean, that's why, regardless of era, my team's thrashing the opponent. Like,
the 6'9" center thing is rough for me, but
the funny thing is, he played center in an era where the centers were much bigger, right?
Not that much bigger.
Like, I mean, you play. There's more small ball in today's game than you got back then, right? And he was great in that era.
He was.
Too.
And I'm not trying to disrespect Alvin Adams in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just saying, like, Bill Russell was 6'11", I think. There weren't a ton of 7-footers back in the league.
Wait, you think he played Bill Russell's day?
No, I'm just saying, like, back then there were
Gotcha.
the centers were not as tall and could not do as much as we do now. Let's pull up mine, because I felt like when I first got the assignment, I did have Chris Paul in that slot. But if we're just going on Suns tenure, I lean towards Steve Nash, because you know what? I want to play fast with this lineup. I want to get up and down the court. So I got Steve Nash, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Sean Marion, and Amari Stoudemire. I'm going small with Amari at the 5. I know he's not the best defensive center, but I do think in the modern game, he would be a small ball 5. He wouldn't be playing the 4 as much. I love Marion and KD being switchable wings, and Devin Booker as well. This group can get some stops, I think, with those 3 on the wings there. And then also you've got the 1-5 pick and roll with Nash and Amari, which, as we know, wrecked people for a long time. So
you got that pick and roll.
My concern with Nash and Amari being the 1 and the 5 is the defensive end, but that is a really good shooting lineup for sure. I got 4 shooters out there.
Now you got that pick and roll with Durant just stationed there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Dare to help,
So I also went with Chris Paul in my spot. Sorry, Nash. Love you, though. And then I got Devin Booker. No surprise here. Then we go KD, Charles Barkley, and Amari Stoudemire. Honestly, within this whole thing, like, you look at all the replies on the Suns tweet, our lineups, there's subtle differences, but I think you could really make an argument for every single one of them. And I think it just shows, like, we've had some really solid players come through the Phoenix Suns organization. But my question is, we did this based off of their time with the Suns.
Yes.
If you were just saying all time, so them in their prime, what changes would you want to make to your lineup?
Oh, Shaq becomes my center.
Shaq, of course, right? I think that's
without a doubt
for sure.
Vince Carter probably makes my lineup. I mean, Grant Hill in his prime. Like, you got to think, this was the retirement home for a section of time. But if you got these guys in their prime, like that's a whole different exercise if you do that. I mean, I left Connie Hawkins off my list, but I think you even make an argument for Connie Hawkins in his prime to
If you
make
include
that.
the ABA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would swap out Nash for Chris Paul if we're looking all time. Definitely doing that. Definitely putting Shaq in Amari's spot in the starting lineup. And I'm probably, like, if you include the Philly years for Chuck, I might have to move him in over Sean Marion, just because, like, Chuck was a monster. And I felt weird leaving Chuck off, but stylistically, I wanted what Sean Marion brought.
Does Vince Carter surpass Devin?
Not even close. No.
I don't think so, but some people might
Gerald
argue,
said stop that right
might
now.
argue that. I mean,
Vince was unstoppable in early 2K games, but that's as far as I'll go. Yeah.
that's true. If I needed a dunk, I mean, you want 5 guys for a dunk contest, you got plenty. Vince, it said Ceballos, Jason Richardson. Yeah, that's a whole nother exercise too.
I think if we're going to do prime only, I'm probably going to take off Sean Marion and put Josh Jackson, if that's okay with you guys.
His prime, I mean,
you better be ready to buy people at Fry's some booze
no.
when he doesn't show up.
If we were hotboxing, that's a guy I put on my list.
I mean, listen, Eric had Jalen LeCue as his starting point guard.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, let's see your starting
I'm
five,
just
Eric.
saying.
I don't trust Eric
saw
at all.
Jalen LeCue up there, and I was like, "Baby Westbrook."
I saw
you
some
hated
Sonny
him.
Weems.
You hated on Langston Galloway and Gerald Green and Mirza Teletovic.
Jalen LeCue, Sonny Weems, Gerald Green, Mirza Teletovic, Alec Peters.
Hey.
Nobody's stopping that.
Okay, Mirza Teletovic, unbelievable hair. I got to tell you that. Sonny Weems, one of my favorite interviews ever. Gerald Green only had 4 fingers and dude was doing work.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna. Did I ever tell you that story?
What?
Can I take it aside here?
Of course.
It is MLK Day. The Suns are playing. I'm sitting courtside. I believe at the time it was Rachel Nichols. That was the sideline reporter. We had foam fingers that I helped come up with that said the 4-fingered assassin.
Yep.
And it only had 4 fingers, right? She went to show that on an MLK broadcast, and I had to be like, you probably don't want to turn that to the backside, right?
Oh.
Because ain't a nickname you want to bring up on that day.
No.
Like, that was like, okay. Yeah, like it was one of those of like, thank God we stopped that before the trade wreck happened.
Okay, but it was your fault for putting these foam fingers out on that game.
No.
You couldn't have picked a different game?
They were sold in the team shop, and they've been sold long before.
Okay, I got
They just
you.
thought it was a cool. Thing.
I thought it was like the giveaway for that game. I'm like, well, what were you thinking?
No.
Okay, that's fair. All right, next up, we got a game to play. But first, if you're like Espo and you want to throw shade at all the guests who come through your front door, make sure you're doing it wearing the best pair of sunglasses you can get your hands on from our friends at Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays offer premium polarized sunglasses that will not break the bank. The sunglass company offers a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades are durable, crystal clear optics, and make the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Plus, they probably have a pair in your favorite team's colors, whether that's the Suns or your second favorite team, your side piece team, if you will. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't worry, because Shady Rays has the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by the lost or broken replacements. And on top of that, if you don't love your shades, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. So there is no risk when you shop with our friends at Shady Rays. And exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses, so you can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Can I get the 2-shot, Eric?
Uh-oh.
When you think rugged outdoorsman, you think Espo. And that's why I'm here to talk to you about our new friends at Rugged Road. One of the best coolers I have ever experienced when I'm out in nature. All right, so I don't use it in nature, but I do love the Rugged Road coolers. They are unbelievable. They are one of those products that has the highest quality materials and craftsmanship. This isn't your rinky-dink cooler that's made of foam or plastic. No, this is high-quality material. They take care of you, so you get cold beverages and cold food when you need it. Not maybe you'll have it. No, when you need it, they're there for you. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road Gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. And guess what? This is something that they say about me. Floatability, right? That's what these have. These will float upright no matter what.
Do you do the same?
I do. That's what happens when you're this big. You float
you,
upright when you're in the pool. But whether you're in the pool or you're out at the lake or wherever you are, floatability is important. And it's a lightweight design because I'm a weakling and I can't lift heavy things. But this is a lightweight design. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light. Not something that's said about me. Making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're versatile too. You're going to love them. I promise you're going to love them. So get ready for your summer adventures, or here in Arizona, really your fall or winter adventures, because who the hell's going outside right now here? But get ready for it and head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code PHNX for 10% off your order. Lightweight, durable, and always floating upright. Perfect on land or in water. So leave that heavy cooler at home and get yourself a better cooler for the new season. Rugged Road, your ultimate outdoor companion.
Can you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Can you be kinder to yourself?
Well, I think he was making up for throwing shade at Shane earlier in the show, so now he's throwing shade at himself.
I'm equal opportunity.
If
I'm going to say it to you guys, I'm going to say it to myself. Plus, I don't want to put my therapist out of business, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's fair.
That's very kind of you.
I want to keep that working, so that's where it comes from.
Well, that's
okay. Are you guys ready for a game?
Yes.
It might be hard. I don't know. We'll find out.
All right.
So basically, it's a matching game. You have to match career highs to its player. Okay.
Okay.
All of these players have at one point in time played for the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that their career highs happened when they were with the Suns.
Okay. So
But
is this just scoring or is it different categories?
Just points.
Just points.
Yes,
Okay.
just points.
I hope there's somebody like 4.
Honestly, I should have definitely done one that was like 4. That would have been hilarious.
Jalen McKee.
I do have 2 hints per career high in
Okay.
scoring here if you guys need them.
Okay.
Now, I don't really envision this as being like you guys are competing against each other because I feel like it's a little hard.
Okay.
So you can work as a team.
Okay.
Okay. So no peeking. The first one, 55 points. Career high of 55 points.
I feel like that's KD.
I was going to say Tony Delk, but
I know he had a 50-point
Yeah.
game.
I don't know.
But
we
I think
don't, we
it's-
don't have to
I-
lock in though. We
You
can
don't have to
wait for
lock
the
in.
next thing. You got any thoughts here, Shane? Anybody you want to put on the radar first?
I want to say KD, but I feel like he had 57, but I'm going to get second guess and say it's KD.
I think it's KD.
Are we locking in and going with KD?
We're locking it in.
All right.
All right. You got one right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It was Kevin Durant. It happened on April 2nd, 2022 when he was playing for the Nets.
Go back said Tony Delk as well. So at least,
Okay.
well, somebody was on my
All
same wavelength.
Next up, 47 points.
47.
Do, do,
Man.
do,
Durant had
do,
more than
do, 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 do.
Landry Shamet.
We wish.
Wait,
I
can we just
should've
throw
put
out
it.
guesses?
Yeah, yeah, you
I
could throw
think
out guesses.
Sean Marion, I don't know.
No.
What was Amari's?
That's Amari.
Was it Amari?
I think that's Amari. And it was against the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay, so that's incorrect. Your first hint.
Alvin.
This one should give it. Oh.
Alvin Adams!
Oh,
Alvin Adams!
We did it!
Hey, Alvin Adams!
Well, I
Hey!
figured this was going to give it away. It was it was February 22nd, 1977. I
Yep, that
figured
worked.
maybe you
I
guys would have
forgot.
gotten it from there.
I forgot about the hints.
Yeah.
Might have done that.
There are 2 hints.
Now,
We have
You
Alvin-
can
landlines.
ask for
We
hints.
got to use our landlines.
like I said, it was Alvin Adams.
Right.
And that was,
I heard him whisper.
1977.
I heard him
Right.
whisper it off
Yeah.
mic.
You can ask for hints.
Okay.
Okay, next up, 52 points.
52 points.
Bradley Beal.
52 points.
No,
Brad
because
had to
he
have
had
a
a
higher
he had
game,
a
right?
Brad had a 60-point game, didn't he?
Yeah.
You did.
52?
There is a hint in the
Let's
chat.
Let's
If
take
you
the
want to
hint.
scroll through, Eric, there's definitely a hint in the chat.
Well, what about you?
Oh, my hint?
Oh.
It happened January 26, 2007.
It's Nash.
52?
52 points.
I feel like Did Nash ever hit 50?
Jamal Crawford.
I don't think he did.
Jamal
Hold on.
Crawford.
Your favorite. You said
Jamal.
2007.
That's the hit in the
Yes,
chat.
he had
With
a
the
50-point
Knicks.
game with us, but
With
he
the
had a
Knicks.
52
That's
with.
kind of like the
Okay.
trick there because I think it was
See,
51
50,
here,
yes,
right?
thinking of
Okay.
Suns.
Yes.
That, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the
that's-
picture that we have for
So
Jamal.
the hit in the
Ooh.
chat, Connor said Lindsay loves Jamal.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Jamal Crawford is one of my
He's a
favorite
free
guys.
agent.
We
He's
should
a
have
free
known.
agent now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should
Well,
add him in. What do you
He
think?
should be permanently on the broadcast because he's better than whoever
I
else
love
they got.
Jamal
going.
He's pretty great.
So,
All right, next up, 50 points.
50 on the spot.
Yep. 50 on the spot.
Eddie House.
No.
so Chuck had a 60-point game, right?
Chuck at a
He
Chuck
had
at a 56.
Yeah, he had
Okay.
56.
Okay, but here's the caveat.
Hmm.
If
Mhm.
you're not counting playoffs, that's not Chuck's
Yeah.
career high. 56 was against
Oh,
the Warriors in the first round in 94. So that's where you could
I've-
get hung up here.
I feel like this is probably Amari. I thought 47 was close, but 50 sounds like something that he would have.
He
had
had
to
a
have
big
fit-
game against Portland.
He had to have hit 50 once.
Would you like a hint?
let's
Sure.
let's utilize
Let's
it. Let's
use
see
it.
what the
January
hints.
2nd, 2005.
So I
That
feel
works
good
for
about
Amari.
Amari.
Amari against Portland.
That's not Raja Bell. So,
No.
I
They
mean,
did play for the Suns at the time.
I'm going to go with
I'm
Amari.
I'll lock in on Amari.
All right,
against
it was
Portland.
Amari. Yay!
Against-
Round of
against Portland?
applause. I don't know. I didn't write that down.
Oh, come on.
Well, we're
I
gonna say
almost
I'm
wrote
right.
down that was almost going to be the hint of
Okay.
who they did it
Gotcha.
against, but I felt like that would have been a little bit harder. So
Yeah,
I didn't want to kill you on that one.
that would have been tough.
All right, this one might be a little tougher. 34 points.
It's all points.
Four.
Frank Kaminsky.
No,
Damn.
close,
I
but
know.
no.
Jock Landale. No, I'm
Nope,
just kidding.
34.
Yes,
You said
34.
close when
Close
he
to
point.
said.
Now I'm going
Kaminsky?
through.
Like
Now
point
go through
wise.
white
Kaminsky's
guys.
career high
Okay.
point wise.
Okay. 34.
Let's see.
34.
Would you like a hint?
Was it? It wasn't Nash, was it?
Nope.
It wasn't Jason Kidd?
Nope.
Cam Johnson.
It happened January 24th, 2014.
Gerald Green.
Oh, that's Brandon Knight.
Was that
No.
Dragic?
No,
The
Brandon Knight had
Player
more.
played for the Nets at the time.
Player played for.
I have a third hint.
Player played for the Nets at the
In
time. and then
2014.
It's
was
Eric's
here.
favorite player of all time.
It's one of my son's goats.
Oh, God.
His name was mentioned
His
on
name
this
was
program
mentioned
today.
Was it in his starting five earlier?
It might
no,
have
there's no more.
It's not-
been.
Was Gerald Green on the Nets?
Teletovich.
Yes,
Yeah.
here's a
Oh, here's
Teletovich.
a-
34 points.
Oh, yeah, Gerald Green was on the
Eric
You-
begged
okay,
me.
you did
Eric
me-
begged me to put him in this
You
one.
did
Here's
Mirza dirty. That his hair was so much better here.
He
in
had
Phoenix
really-
than that.
He did have great hair.
He did. Him, Anthony Tolliver, best fingernails I've ever seen.
Is
in
he the one
NBA.
that laughed at? Is he the one that laughed at LeBron when LeBron tried to mow him over?
I don't
Oh, no.
know.
He might have
It
been.
might have been.
Might have
I
been.
tried to blank out those times. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
So,
All
He's
right,
better
ready?
than LeBron.
53 points. This name has also been mentioned on this program.
53 points.
Mm,
It happened January 2nd, 2001,
Was
Sean
it
Marion,
with the Suns?
with the Suns, not Sean Marion.
Oh,
Tony Delk.
Yes, Tony Delk,
Okay.
53 points.
Tony
I knew
Delk.
he had a crazy.
He had a
amount,
50
man.
point
I
game.
think
I
he
just
was
didn't
like
know which one it
the
was.
fourth highest scoring from Suns
Oh, really?
players. I think so.
That's
Be-
crazy.
Because it was like Book, Tom
TC,
Chambers.
Mm.
Well,
then
do
I
you
think there
count
might have
book
been-
multiple times?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like
No,
book,
no.
TC,
It
book,
definitely
book,
goes book, TC, book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's one other one in there, but he's like player,
Gotcha.
not games.
Okay.
All right, next one is 31 points.
31 points. I'm gonna need a hint.
1.
That's just.
okay. Well, the game that
It
Cam
is
went
very-
crazy against New York. How many points did he have that?
Wasn't that like 37 or
Seven.
38?
Okay. So
I
it's on
feel
there.
like it was.
I think it was
Mid to
more
high
than 31.
30s.
I'm
Because he hit like 10 threes.
And I
so-
know McHale hit 40s with Brooklyn, so it's not either one
This-
of them.
going to do these hints backwards. They did play for the Suns when this happened.
Okay.
Okay, 31.
31.
And it
played
was
for the
more
Suns.
recent than not. If I
Ooh.
give you the year, you're 100%
Okay.
going to get it, I think.
Landry Shamet.
No.
Career high at 31.
How many did Frank have?
Frank had 34 one game. Because didn't we have a bet about a tattoo at 35 and wasn't?
I know we did for Landry. Did we have it for Frank
I
as well?
thought I
Oh,
had
yeah,
to do
we
it.
did. Yeah.
November 10th, 2021.
That's Frank.
Yeah.
It was
okay.
that was the
Frank.
game. It was 4 points away, and I freaked out because
It's
he'd had
Frank.
multiple
Yep.
games.
Attaboy, Frank.
Played
31
well.
points. If only you had
I
gotten.
think that might have been the
35.
Pelicans game.
I miss you, Frank.
All right, next up, 40 points.
40.
Big
40.
4-0.
Gerald in high school.
Nah.
Saul in high school.
I should have added that in. That would have been funny. They did play for the Suns at the time,
Oh,
so not terribly far back.
40. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna guess.
How
I'm gonna
old are
keep
you,
guessing.
Eric?
I'm gonna keep guessing the twins. I'm gonna guess Mikhail.
Mm-mm.
I feel like.
It's
you
one of
said-
Espo's
wait,
favorite
wh-
players.
Oh, was he Slovenian? Was it Goran?
It was Goran.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't know this one. He's literally your guy.
Tonight, it's the game of the Dragon over in Slovenia. Actually, it's probably already been played.
this-
I don't know what
Yeah,
time
that's
it
true.
is.
This is no longer his game. It's Chris Bosch's return.
Yeah, Chris Bosh is playing. Nash is playing.
Mhm.
Luca's playing.
Dirk.
Dirk's playing. Jeff Hornacek is there. I don't know if he was just wandering around
Jokic.
Slovenia and
Is
decided
the
to
Morris
show.
the Morris twins playing?
I don't believe
I
so.
don't know that they got invited.
I would hope that
Really? I'm surprised.
I would hope Zoran
kidding.
actually got the opportunity to
Zoran.
play at his brother's farewell game.
Redemption.
I'm gonna bet Lon Babby and Robert Sarver aren't there. I don't know, just a guess.
Okay. Next up is 35 points.
These are the tough ones. It's like because anyone could. don't wanna
I
say
know.
anyone
These
could do
next
it,
two are
but-
real tough.
Anyone
Yeah,
can.
anyone could drop 30.
Yeah.
They did play
Anyone
for the
can.
Suns
35. When
at
they did
the
this?
time.
They
Okay.
did this 30.
35. What was Nash's? Do we know
Are
what
there-
Nash's
Nash
was?
was in the 40.
Are
I'm
there
pretty sure he
hints
had a
that aren't
44-point
dates?
game.
I want to see if we can get.
Hints that aren't dates. Okay. There you go. Tall
Taller
and
than
6'7". You
6'7".
said, oh, taller than 6'. I
Taller
was like,
than
he's
6'7".
definitely not 6'7".
30,
He's definitely
35.
not 6'7".
A little taller than that, though.
What was Aiton's?
Oh, it was 35. It was
Oh.
8. Yep,
February
good call.
7th, 2023, DeAndre Ayton with
'Cause
35
he had
points.
like 28 in the first half, and then
And then
All right.
disappeared.
Next
and
up,
then the second half. Happened.
Enjoy Portland.
26 points.
26
Last
points.
one, 26 points.
Drew Eubanks. I don't know.
I know Royce's is like crazy low, but I don't think it's.
This
I think
player,
Royce's might be lower.
everyone loves this player.
Oh,
Everyone loves this player.
Everyone loves this player. And if you don't love this player, you're just lying and being a hater.
Oh,
Kelly
Bobo.
Oubre.
Bobo!
What was that?
Happened
Orlando.
last year.
Yeah.
November 16th, 2022. He was playing for
Oh,
Orlando
okay.
at
It
the
was
time.
Orlando.
Yes.
What do you have? 24 against Houston?
Yeah,
Last year?
something like
Yeah.
that. 24, 25.
That's it.
That was
Good job,
incredibly
guys.
difficult
Surprisingly
and somewhat fun.
We did better.
Tough.
That's the goal.
I think,
Surprisingly difficult and somewhat
I'm glad
fun.
we made it a group project.
Yes.
Yeah, because it would have been really
very
hard. That's what I'm saying. It's a
That would've
little hard, right?
yeah.
Was it too hard?
No,
yeah,
it's just.
I mean,
thought
it was
was-
interesting.
It was
more
like the right
somethings?
amount. We got most of them right.
I don't know.
We
got, like-
what do we get? 60%?
Yeah,
Is
lots
that
of
right?
Lots of
A passing grade for
Who
sure.
the fuck would know these other ones?
I mean, that's fast. 35 points could be literally
Hey, I
anybody.
got that. I got that one. It was,
you did.
it was the 26 point. What?
Oh my god.
I gotta know what Cam's career high was because I kept
Cam.
landing on Cam Johnson.
I think it was 38.
I kept landing on that.
I want to say it was
like,
38 against the Knicks when he hit that game winner.
And then
Julius
got
Randle.
injured
38.
forever.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's 38.
That was a fun game.
Against the Knicks on March 4th, 2022.
Mhm.
That was a fun game.
It was
We
fun.
do have a couple super chats here to round us out. First, we'll start with Buddha the Schizo.
call.
Buddha said
Yeah,
Brandon
we
Knight,
will.
Landry Shamet, Jared Dudley, Drew Eubanks, Martian Gortat. Okay, Jared Dudley, no slander. And Gortat,
Look,
too.
Like, two of these guys are my boys.
Jared
and
Dudley
this
was
is no
nice.
Buddha. Come on. You take Marcin Gortat's name out of your mouth. The Polish Hammer was spectacular with Steve Nash in the
He-
pick and roll.
he
And
literally-
Gerald Dudley had the most athletic hands in the history of the Phoenix Suns. You stop that.
Brandon was a nice guy.
He was
Brandon
really
was.
nice. He was really
I'll give you
nice.
that.
That's all I
I'm going
Fact.
to read this one.
Landry was too.
Mr. and Mrs. Bourget, please cover your ears.
Be calm, see clearly he's back, everybody.
Gerald's parents are over there. I'm still going to read this. Be calm, see clearly. our unique friend said the things I would do to Devin Booker, and it's an interesting smiley face.
It's a drool emoji.
I
you didn't want to
wanna
go that far?
there,
My
so
bad.
no.
I took it there.
I mean, that's actually
Whoops.
very calm for that.
It was
super
very
chat,
calm
so.
for
For
considering it's
BCom.
been like a month since we've heard from BComC clearly. I've expected them coming out hot
Mhm.
out of the gates. I think he's kind of funny at this point, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I just love that they don't know whether or not I'm actually going to read what he's typed. I've
never
made it
know.
like, ooh, it's dangerous. Will he?
Exactly.
Won't he?
You know?
Will he be calm? Will he see clearly? Probably not.
Tune in to find
Will
out.
he get canceled? We don't know.
All right, that's it. That's all I got for you. Shane, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to?
Plug away.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of my dead period, honestly. But I do have some things coming on the Mercury soon. Still covering them down the stretch of this season.
Mhm.
Got a few games to round out the season here. So got that. Then I'm going to start September 1st, starting my season projections for both conferences. So
Nice.
that's a project I always love doing. There's a certain amount of wins just around the league to be available. So, and I was really close on the Suns last year. Had them at 51. They had 49. So.
Okay.
You can give us a sneak peek. 60 wins for the Suns, first in the West. Is that where we're going?
60 plus 12, 72
Wow.
and 10.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we go.
I was gonna be greedy and say 80 and 2, but I'll take that.
you love to see it. And of course, you can get all that content by following him on social at Young NBA. Make sure you hit that follow button. Thank you again for joining us. Axel in the chat.
Axel.
You
We
just said
love
I
you.
was awesome, and now you're his favorite white guy.
You've been dethroned,
Oh,
so
man.
you
Been
got to leave.
surpassed.
Sorry,
Man.
them's the rules.
Flex from Kentucky. On the
Thank you
move.
all for joining us. If you're here on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, be sure to follow the show on social at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. One more time, you can follow Flex from Kentucky. Kentucky? Is that what we
Yes,
decided?
Kentucky Fried Flex.
At
Come
Young
on.
NBA. Oh, sorry, I forgot Kentucky Fried Flex. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
I'm actually, inspired by Young NBA. I think I'm gonna change my nickname to Old NBA and make
Hey.
it my MC name.
Oh,
You know
Ahoy,
what?
hoy.
You know what? You won't get mistaken for a rapper named NBA Youngboy.
Oh,
No.
So,
I won't. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.